It's the second letter or the first page of Sefer HaToldos, so the letters of the Alter. We're all right. Very good. Okay, I want to give a little intro before we dive right into the material. We have so much to do. Shavuot Tov to everybody. A pre-happy Chanukah to everybody. One of the things that I was first taught when I began learning how to paskin, was the Mishlei of Daf Shlomo HaMelech, very wise words, which state the following. I'm not allowed to read it by heart because not everyone knows the pasuk, but the gist of the pasuk is that V'rabim chalaleha, that there's a lot of people who fall by her sword. It's actually referring to a woman who doesn't dress modestly and she causes people to stumble. But the Gemara Masechah Sotah says that this actually goes on people who have not reached the level of paskening and they pasken. And this is a Gemara that's recorded in Shulchan Aruch and Hilchos Talmud Torah, the laws of Hirah, that the same way we have in the secular world, the havdil, that a person has to be qualified before he practices medicine, and a person has to be qualified before he practices law. It's not just that you decide to suddenly become a doctor and a lawyer, so too in halacha. And it says that when a person is not qualified and he gives halachas over, he causes a lot of victims. That's the lashon of Mishlei, the pasuk. V'rabim chalaleha, many victims, many dead, many people dead. Why am I bringing this up? Every week I hear different, funny halachas that people make up. This week there was a whole bunch of them that I heard. The problem is that if it's somebody making it up to an individual, it's one thing. When someone says it in public, that's already a big problem. In one case, a person said to a public audience, it is, and this, by the way, teachers is no different. A teacher is qualified only to teach in the material that they are expert in. They're absolutely not qualified to teach and give hayraz and halachas in subjects that they are not qualified in. They're not a rav, they're not a pesach, not a meid hayraz. So this is one example. There was a whole bunch of Sephardim who were hearing a shiur by an Ashkenazi woman, Sephardi girls. And she told them that even if they don't light Shabbos candles, it's forbidden for them to do any melacha after their mother lights. A lot of them said, what do you mean? We always take showers after our mother lights. She says, no, it's asur according to halacha. Fact check. The teacher is incorrect. There's no opinion who holds of that. It is permitted to do malacha even after the mother lights candles. If you lit candles, is one thing. But if the mother lit candles and you didn't yet light candles, or you don't light candles like the Sephardim are accustomed, you have until Shkia to do malacha. Another case, very similar. They're both very similar cases. Sunset.
The candles are lit after Shkia.
No. Candle lighting. You're getting mixed up between Adlakas Neiros, Zman Adlakas Neiros, and Shkia, right? We light candles here in Tzemach a half hour before sunset. Sunset is the cutoff point. All jury has to stop doing malacha. The question is, can you do malacha after the mother of the home lights the candles? So usually in Chabad, since the girls are light, so they always light before the mother because it's not proper for them to light after the mother, etc. So they always light before, so the question is never relevant in this audience. In Chabad audience, the question is never relevant because they've already lit candles and accepted Shabbos. Where is the question relevant? By those audiences that they don't light candles. And so that's fact check, incorrect. This woman would have been much better and say, let me get my facts straight, I don't know. And she would have then answered, of course, it's mutter. The second case, a very similar case where...
She was a Chabad woman.
Yes. Another case...
figures that
you can't paskin based on figuring.
Of course you can, but
that's the mistake. The mistake is where people think that they can paskin based on what they feel. Paskining is you have to first, as I said, be qualified, and even after you're qualified, you have to look it up. You have to look it up. If I received such a question, I would look it up, as I did. When somebody asked me, is this correct? I didn't answer them right away. I said, I believe it's not correct, but I'm going to do research on it first. I did research, and it was incorrect completely. But there's a process. So what happens here? Now we have a whole class of Sephardi girls who think that they're doing an avera. She said, no, it's asur. It's issur d'rabbanan, you're not allowed to. They're coming home telling their parents it's forbidden, making stuff up, making up halachas. The second case, a very similar case, was that there was a male teacher teaching male children, that once it's the time of Adlakas Neiros Shabbos is reached, it's forbidden for anybody to do malacha, even if you didn't light candles. And people don't know this, and those who are doing it are being nichshel, they're stumbling, they don't know. Once, let's say, here in Tzemach, we lit the candles this past Shabbos 4:07, even though Shkia is 4:37, once it's 4:07, no one's allowed to do malacha. Completely incorrect, completely not true. And there's no pesach who holds to such a thing. We all agree it's a good thing to accept Shabbos early, 100%. No one's arguing on that. But to say it's forbidden to do malacha, that's absolute ignorance. So these are examples of cases where people are taking the authority of directing our children or audiences when they don't have their facts straight and they don't know what they're talking about. This is the exact pirush and mishlei of the Rabbi Chalalel. So therefore, we always have to be very careful, especially a Rav, but especially someone who's not a Rav, who's not qualified. They always have to get their facts straight before they begin saying things. I'll mention one more thing. There was a story that just happened this past Friday where there was a bus leaving from Bnei Brak, and there was a traffic accident, and bottom line is that they got stuck in traffic like 2-3 hours, however long it was. Bottom line is they weren't going to make it into Tzfas and Shabbos in time. And there was a big debate on the bus what they should do. Can they continue traveling even though they would arrive past sunset, or must they spend Shabbos on the road? What do you guys say? We learned this. This is a question that we actually studied in our Shabbos material.
One more time.
It's a very simple case. You're driving on your way to Tzfas to spend Shabbos, and there was traffic, and now by the time you get to Tzfas, it's going to be Shkia. It's right now not Shkia. Do you stop where you are and spend Shabbos at a local inn, a local town, in your bus, or do you continue driving?
I mean, if you know you're going to arrive after Shkia, you're
yes,
sure.
you know. Yes, it says on ways. You're not flying. There's no way to fly, right? This is how long it takes. So if it's a Jew driving, there's nothing to talk about. Absolutely, yes. If it's a guy driving, this is the main question. Of course, it doesn't keep going if it's a Jew. I mean, you can go until Shkia, the second Shkia. Everyone's got to stop. So that's a Jew. What if it's a Goyish bus driver, which was the case? Think about, put your brains together, what we already learned in previous simanim.
You can't ask a guy to do work for you.
Correct.
Ask him. You can't, are you doing it?
You have to protest. We discussed this. Same way you can't ask, you also can't benefit from his malacha, even if he doesn't do it. You're standing there, you're seeing him do it, you have to protest.
But as far as the goy, tzarich rabim, there are tzarich rabim, right?
Tzarich rabim. Tzarich rabim. There's no kula of tzarich rabim. There's a kula of tzarich mitzvah, and that's only by shvus to shvus. This is a case of deraisa. It's not a case of shvus. So no, there's no kula in this case. It's a case of deraisa.
What's the union that he's doing it for the sake of the Yidden? Maybe he himself wants to get there for some reason.
But for sure he's doing it for the sake of the Yidden. Seder, he's getting paid, but for sure he's doing it for the sake of the Yidden.
I mean, to mitzdarif, tzarich rabim with a chayla, with other things. You're allowed.
Chayla. Let's say there's no chayla. There's a chayla something else. There's no chayla on the bus.
So how? What
Bottom line, halach is as Rabbi Zion Baron, one of the big Sephardi dayanim paskin, they had to get off the bus. That's the halacha. You're not allowed to continue driving, even though it's a guy. People think it's a guy. That's Amir L'Nachri. The Chachamim answered Amir L'Nachri. You're not allowed to have a guy do malacha for you. And there's no heter of tzarich rabin. The heter is only tzarich mitzvah. If it's a case of derabanan, this is a case of deraisa. If somehow driving a bus was only nisa derabanan, then you can say shasat chak, shvus t'shvus. Okay, then we can start enacting all of those leniencies in the law. But here, driving a car, driving a bus is deraisa every second. Every second there's a new ignition. It's isra of havara. So this is asking the guy to do a deraisa. So to ask a deraisa, we never allow, even for the sake of a mitzvah. It's asa. And therefore, bottom line is that according to halacha, they had to get off the bus, and that's what most of the people did on the bus. They got off, and not everyone, but probably those who didn't get off didn't ask a shaila. They just decided on their own. But those who did, they followed the ruling. They all got off the bus. They spent Shabbos, I think, by Yakneim, by Chabad Shliach, arranged for them, everything.
they call like a public.
Yeah.
They figured out where to get off.
About 20 families. Yeah.
They figured out where to get off.
Yeah. And they spent Shabbos there.
In Israel.
Right here, this happened now.
What, this recently? There was a
This
story.
Shabbos, this Friday.
There was a
This is
story
a fresh
once.
story.
There was a story once, probably you know that. The Rabbi asked Rabbi Dworkin over Shalom Shiloh about taking some medication on Pesach, and Rabbi Dworkin said it was mutter, and either the Rabbi or somebody. Rabbi asked him, or somebody asked him, "How do you know?" He says, "I'll research it." So the question came, "How do you paskin and then say you're going to research it?" So he said, "The Rabbi needed it. I knew it was mutter."
The Rabbi?
If the Rebbe needed it, I knew it was mutter.
You're in one of the families, by the way, in Chanukah, where the women like to light, and you have this issue now, you mentioned about
Today's halacha, I just publicized it.
Yeah? Okay, but
I said, if a woman wants to light, you don't have to fight with her over it.
Right.
Choose your fights for other topics.
That was just the preface of the question.
Oh,
I really
okay.
had that part I understood from your previous teachings. So the thing about lighting on a separate surface,
Yes.
so not confuse the people who
Right.
see a bunch of candles at once through the window.
Right.
Even if the wife wants to make that separate place a window, I guess it'd be fine, right? It would then have to be
Correct.
a Chabad way of inside a doorway.
Correct.
Yeah.
She's already not doing the Chabad
Right,
way.
right,
Let her go
okay.
all the way, not the Chabad way.
It always comes up in my house, yeah.
No problem. We'll save our fights for other times. What can we do? Okay, I actually don't remember which halacha we last ended off with. I know we were in Tafrei Shayin Aleph at 671, and we for sure did about the bowl with oil with different wicks. Everyone remembers that, right? We did that. Okay, so I'm going to start again from Sefei. I don't remember if we did or not, but we're going to do it anyways. Ner Chanukah Manicha Pesach Hasamach L'Shus Harabim. The Chabad rules: the Chanukah menorah has to be placed in the opening that's open towards the public. This is a law of the Gemara. Nobody argues on this. That is where the Chanukah menorah is meant to be placed. We'll soon see Ashkenazi custom, but no one argues on the initial ruling of what was originally brought down in the Talmud. L'Rishus Harabim. Mibachutz im habayis pasuach l'Rishus Harabim manicha al Pesach im yesh chatzal l'fnei habayis manicha al Pesach hachatzal. The halach is that if your house is open to the public, meaning that you open up your door and you see the public area and they're going to see you, so that's where you light it. But if you have a courtyard in front of your house, as is common in buildings and many people that have large homes, mansions, etc., they have a little courtyard in front, then you light by the door of your courtyard because that's where they're going to see it. That's the Pesach to the Rosh Hashanah, not your own personal home, which is just inside your courtyard, and people won't necessarily see it. I remember in Miami, one guy's house, that the big multi-millionaire, it took about 5 minutes to walk from the entrance of his courtyard to his home. So obviously he has to light, he has to light by his courtyard, and they just mess themselves up for Chanukah because you have to walk and go back. It's much better to have just a small normal house than these are the tzaras that the rich people have.
At least it wasn't snowing.
Right, Miami doesn't snow. One second, let's finish the sif. Okay. It says, however, somebody who lives upstairs, like in a building or two-story house, and you live upstairs, someone else lives downstairs, where should you light? He does not have any area open to the public. Then he has to place it by his window, which is near the Shus Harabim, even though this is the way the Mechaber is placed by the window. Other places can say that one should place it by the opening of the Chatzar. So that's what a lot of people you see doing today. They won't necessarily do by the window, they'll just go and light downstairs by the entrance of the building.
What about the people walking on your corridor? Your corridor are open to the public. There's maybe not many people, but an apartment door has some other people walking around on the corridor where their door is, no?
Say it again?
If you live in an apartment with your own corridor that leads up to your door, that can be
right.
But we don't do this way anyway. We don't end up doing this. So.
Right. 1 second. Okay, so this is the ruling of Mechaber. We just read it. Seems pretty clear. He says, do it by the window, and the Ramah doesn't argue. We don't have any argument on that. But the Achreinim discuss the following, okay, on this case. Say the following. Some person question that perhaps one is to light candles by the entrance to the building, or the entrance of his door would lead to the stairway. And so is the custom of some. Okay, so is the custom of some. That's what I said before, that there are some who are noihig this way, because the Mechaber's exact case was somebody just living right upstairs. There's that's just him. So what are you going to do there's nowhere to light. So you light by the window. But this is a case where you have apartment set. You have little apartment blocks, little apartment, cubicles in each floor. So there is, for so many, to the walk-in. So that's what some do. Some do light over there. Some will go downstairs and light. Whatever you do has upon him to rely. No, what you said, by the door, like by your door leading to leading to the hallway. Okay, so some do, others light downstairs. Other places come a rule: he is to light inside his home by his window, and so is the custom of others. So this is a machlekes amongst Peskei Dereinu, the new type of apartment buildings. What do you do in this case? I don't know if apartments existed back in the day. In this condominiums, we have many people on many floors. I don't think it existed back then. But in any event, this is practically a machlekes that we have. And some actually have a custom, Mayadim Uzmanim brings, that they light 2 sets. They do like everyone. They light 1 set downstairs, 1 set by the window, 1 set by the door. They light a whole bunch of sets of menorahs. So this is the...
Put the electric menorahs in the base. That's a second
Can we
menorah.
address the issue of the window? Somebody wants to do it in a window, but they live 7, 8 floors up, 10 floors, 23 floors up.
Coming up. You're always ahead of the game, Yehuda.
Nobody will
What
see
can I
it.
say? Coming up. Coming up.
Okay.
Coming up. Manicha b'chalayin hasamach rishus harabim. Okay, you put it by the window that's close to the rishus harabim, so everybody sees. Obviously, you put it by a window that's where the cats are, where nobody goes behind the building, and that doesn't help. So you're supposed to choose the window. This is what most jury does. This is what the Machaber rules is what most jury does that I know of. The custom of the majority who live in buildings, they simply light by their window. To go downstairs and light, or light by your doorway, it's annoying. People don't see. You have to stay outside, leave the door open. Kasher. It's difficult.
Yeah.
So people light by their window. That's what's done. And that's what the Machaber. Okay, this is the original ruling of the Machaber. This is the original ruling. The other ways are the ones that have to find an argument to go against this ruling. Ubshas sakana, in a time of danger, and danger here means either because that there is a time that they are prohibiting Jews from lighting candles, there is a edict, a decree against Jews following their religion, or there is danger of fire from occurring. Tashas sakana, eino shalekayim mitzvah manicha al shulchan v'day. You simply light it right here on the table, and you're good. So we see that the Chachamim gave a few different options of where to light it. In other words, it's not static that this is how it has to be, and otherwise there's no mitzvah. If you're able to, you have if this is the way your home is built, do it by the front door or the front of the courtyard. If that's not possible, do it by the window towards the outside. If that's not possible, there's no Persumei Nisa. You can still light with a bracha. In other words, the Persumei Nisa aspect of lighting Chanukah candles is a very important aspect, but not an invalidating aspect. We still allow lighting with a blessing, and the mitzvah is still fulfilled, even if nobody will see it, just you. It's on your table. And on Shabbos, this is where we use this, that for Shabbos, if you have kids at home and there's... It's only the chatchila, it has to be their height, but this is a time of sakana. Once you're breaking the area it's supposed to be on, then, because of sakana, there's no limitation. That's what he says to put on the table. When you're doing it by your doorway, then we have a limitation of the amount. We're going to see, that's the next if. Next if we'll deal with that. Okay, but bottom line is you can shas sakana put on the table. So what is the shas sakana? Definitely fire is a big sakana. Unfortunately, we hear stories every Chanukah. We shouldn't we shouldn't hear ever again. But people have to be vigilant. People have to be careful, not say it won't happen to me. And therefore, if you know you have kids around, you simply light your candles on a table in a safe area, and that's it. You're not, as we know, the halacha is you're not allowed to use the candles of the menorah, you're not allowed to get light from those candles, and therefore, back in the day when there was no electricity, obviously you would use candlelight for your light at night. You would have to light an additional candle to give yourself light in your room, as you can't use the light of the Chanukah candles. This is what we do today by lighting the shamash. This is the halacha of the shamash. You need to make a ner echad lishtamash la'ir. That's why we do a shamash. I remember, I think last year or 2 years ago, there was a blackout in the middle of Chanukah, and we're all sitting there without light, and I had to I used the shamash, of course, to see things, and that so came out very handy. This talking about back then, people used to have big torches that would give them light, but so he says it doesn't count. You still need to have an extra shamash because many people don't go around with a torch because it's not befitting of them or whatever. They're scared, and therefore it doesn't count as enough light. So you would need to have an additional candle. Okay, that's for back then, not relevant really today. Sivav. Manichai l'maylo megimel tfachim. The Rama's ruling of lighting inside the house is coming up in the next sif, okay? In Sif Zayin. Sivav. Manichai l'maylo megimel tfachim. Initially, this is not invalidating, but initially you're supposed to put it higher than 24 centimeters. At the very least, this means that the flame of the menorah should reach above 24 centimeters. 24. 3 tfachim, okay? 24 centimeters. If you follow Chaz's initials, 30 centimeters. Okay, for us it's 24 centimeters. So that's about this high, right here. That's the minimum, okay? And meaning, at the very least, the flame should be above it, and l'chatchila, it's even better that the menorah be above it, okay? So you can use a little stool that's about 24 centimeters high. You put the menorah on the stool, and you have from between 24 centimeters, under 10 tfachim, which is about this one, 80 centimeters, okay? So you have about till here, so you have a little stool, and in the space you light your menorah.
This table will be fine. Yeah.
This table would be above it. Oh, no, would it?
No.
No, but the menorah, but the flame is supposed to be within that.
Oh.
I said before, the flame, the same way the flame should be above the 24, so too the flame should be below the 80, okay? But if you follow Chazon Ish, which is 100 centimeters, then it may be good.
Interesting. So we do it in shul.
What was the lowest again?
We do it here in shul, on this table usually.
On the table, not on the ledge? Why not on the ledge? I know, it's usually on the ledge.
Okay. Good.
If it's on the ledge, then it depends how big the menorah. If you're using a whopper menorah.
Yeah.
But anyways, in public lightings, we're not careful about this. As you see, you look in 770, the menorah there is almost 2 meters high.
Yeah.
They're not careful about this. Halach, as I said, it is not an invalidating manner. The main reason behind this is because there's more Pesumei Nisa when it's at an edge where it's within your height. That's really the idea, within your eyesight. But again, it's not invalidating, and definitely by, as I said, by shuls, they're not so careful in this. Okay. What about that? It is customary for the menorah in shul to be placed higher than 10 tefachim from the ground, so rules the Prima Gadim, the Mishnah Berurah, and the Kaf HaChaim, so we're good.
Wait, say that again?
It is customary for the menorah in shul to be placed higher than 10 tefachim. So this halacha is specifically regarding, as I said, in a home. So therefore, somebody who's lighting by a window should try to choose a window that's within this height. Somebody who's lighting by the doorpost, obviously, should, as I said before, don't light, depends on your menorah, how high your menorah is, but if it's very high, then this chair may be no good, so you would use a stool. However, b'diavad, if you lit it higher than 10 tefachim, no need to worry, no need to fret, you're good. It's only lichatchila. However, if you light your menorah higher than 20 ames, that's your question, you are not yaitse. So, for example, somebody wanted to do something really cool, do Persim Nisa to the whole world, and he put the menorah all the way up there. It was not yaitse the bracha. I don't know if this is 20 ames. Is this 10 meters? I think it is. Right? 10 meters? Agreed? I think it's 10 meters.
So even on the first floor of an apartment.
So what do you do in an apartment building? We said before, the Mechaber says if you live upstairs, like by the window, shouldn't have the Mechaber added a very important clause, only if you don't live 20 ames, 10 meters above floor, which is not that high. I think second, third floor already, you're past that. So why didn't the Mechaber let us know of this very important clause? The simple reason is because of as follows. When you are above 20 amas from the ground, if you light in an area that you can see the candles in your own home, then you're still yaitz of the mitzvah. In other words, we measure from you, not from the street. We measure from you. So inside my house, if I live on the 110th story of Sears Towers, right, I think they have 110, something like that. Okay, and I am, almost seeing planes. I'm doing Persumei Nisa with people on the planes, but I'm lighting by my window. If I can see the candles, I'm doing Persumei Nisa to myself, and therefore I measure, and my family, therefore I measure it from the floor, which is, again, within 3 to 10 tefachim, so I'm good. Even the however, some people have a menorah. My dad bought a very expensive silver menorah that has a big silver back. So when you put it towards the window, you don't see anything. Then it's only being publicized to who? To the outside. In such a case, it's possible. Because where are you lighting? Above 20 amas. Above 20 amas, there's no publication to the outside. There's no publication to the outside. It's only mutter because it's being publicized to you and your family, but it's not because you can't see anything. So that's why the Rebbe said that people who are lighting in upper buildings, basically at least from third floor and above, maybe even lower, from second floor and above, they should not light by the window. They should light by the doorpost, as writes the Ramah. In other words, don't follow the Mechaber's directive here because it can enter you into trouble.
Or that's totally visible. I don't see why would that be a problem.
I agree. Min hadin, it is mutter. Min hadin, it is mutter. In such a case, however, being that not everyone's aware, and they say, "Well, my dad always used to light by the window. He didn't realize his dad used a menorah that you can see the candles. You decided to get super menorah and get a big back, and now you can't see anything."
I don't understand. How does
One
that,
second, I'll take questions. Yeah, go ahead.
how's that problem resolved by putting it in the doorway?
Because it's for you.
But if
Doorway
you-
of one of your inside rooms.
But
You're
you
seeing
have
it.
to turn it around, obviously.
Turn it around, but up.
If the back is a solid back, and you're not going to put it in the doorway and have.
Well,
it
obviously, I'll put it in a way that I can see it. You can
So why
also
can't
put it
you
by,
can put it by
yeah,
the window also.
because the reason why people put it in the windows so people can see it.
Outside people can see it.
So they're gonna turn it around. But if you're right, I agree with you. If they don't, but then in that case, then just put it where it's supposed to be. Why are you putting it by the window, right?
So these that light these giant Chanukah in
Right.
a public place.
There's a lot of problems with that. The public menorahs, to say a bracha over them has a lot of problems. In my opinion, everyone who asks me, I tell them, do not say a bracha on them, ever. Never say a bracha on a public menorah lighting. There's no need to say a bracha. There's no chiyuv to say a bracha. You're entering into a big shiloh bracha levatala. What is the purpose? Don't say a bracha on the menorah lighting. However, those who are lenient to have upon whom to rely, if, number one, the menorah is lower than 20 amos. So, which they are.
No,
There was a
but the
big court case in New York. They put them in, I think, Central Park. Where does he light? In
By,
Central Park?
no, just outside of
Times Square? Oh.
59th Street around there with a big, where the.
Wherever he is, he
It's outside
has
of
the
town.
official copyrighted claim in court to have the tallest possible menorah. When there was a shliach in, I forgot where, I think it was, yeah, shliach from Brooklyn.
He
Yeah.
was in Brooklyn.
Right. The other shliach in Brooklyn who also now wanted to make the claim, because you can't go higher than 20 amos. So they were following that halacha. So, you can't just decide, well, I'm going to build a bigger one, then it's invalid. So he claimed, I also have the tallest menorah in the world. It was taken to court. He went to court. Can you claim to have the tallest menorah?
Now he advertises the tallest menorah in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Okay, nonsense. In any event. Anyway, so the point is that can you say a bracha? So if it's above 20 amos, there are people who don't know. As I said, people don't know they did it. He got a huge menorah. It was 9 meters tall. And then he got these huge candles, which are themselves 2 meters long. Of course, you can't say a bracha according to any opinion. Furthermore, if he lights with like Havdalah candles, because one little wick is going to go out in the wind, so he wants to be machmir, uses these big Havdalah candles, you can't say bracha over a torch. We discussed this last week. Another reason why it's a bracha levatala, and that's going to all opinions. No one can be makel on that. The only time you can be makel is in a case where it's below 20 amos, and it's a case where that you are lighting with a single wick candle, a single wick olive oil candle, whatever you're using, doesn't matter, a single wick. Then in such a case, those who are lenient to say a bracha have upon whom to rely. But as I said before, the best directive is simply to avoid it. Or, as I tell people, if you have a child there, a little, usually at public menorah running, you have little children. You announce before you start the bracha, we are now educating the children in how to say the bracha b'adlakas neiros. And you educate them, and you get this is called the piggyback ride. You get to say a bracha on the piggyback of the children because I'm educating them. Right. Those places say, how can you say a bracha? What are you talking about? I'm allowed to educate children to say blessings. Right? You agree with that. So this is the way to escape the issue.
Work, right? A girl doesn't work either.
Even a girl.
That could work?
Yes, you can educate a girl to say a bracha.
I mean like a high school girl.
No, this is only until bar bas mitzvah.
Right.
Only kids. Only kids. Only kids. So I'm teaching the kids the blessing. That's the way it should be done in order to avoid all issues.
How does Yerushalayim do in terms of staying within the parameters? The famous.
The big menorah that is lit by Binyanei Umah, according to testimony from different rabbanim, is doing against halacha because it's higher. It's I don't know if it's higher than 20 hours, but they use torches. And a number of rabbanim have spoken out against it.
And the kotel, the famous one of the kotel.
I don't know what they do there. I have no idea what they do there. I'm talking about what they do by Hamashbir, by Berchov King George. There are a number of rabbanim have spoken out against it. And it's unfortunate because, the whole purpose of Persumei Nisa is to publicize the miracle and do it in a right way. But when that causes other Yidden from other groups to say, look at Chabad, they just trample on Shulchan Aruch, it doesn't do very big a Persumei Nisa to them. So obviously they got to get their head straight and do things according to Jewish law, not do whatever they want. But it could be they fixed it. I have no idea. This was about 7 years ago. This was the case. It could be someone already told them and they fixed the issue. Let's get back to our issue. So regarding the 20 amos, so that's 9.6 meters, 31.5 feet. Okay, so again, for sure, third floor and up is probably no good already, and therefore the lighting by the window would be an issue.
No, unless you put it unless you can see it publicly, and you're talking out above you, is what you're saying. Okay, right?
Is it?
You're okay by the next floor, is it?
One second.
Above you. So,
just one moment. Yeah, so it may one light by the window of his apartment if it's 20 amas above the street. If the window is 20 amas above ground from where people walked in, is to be lit by the doorpost as stated above. This is the ruling of all the places. Pri Chodesh Chayei Adam, the Mishnah Berurah, the Kaf HaChaim. However, as I said before, technically, if you can see the lights, then you can make the argument, I'm just choosing this area to light in. Okay, so it's not like you're not Yetzer B'diavad, you would still be Yetzer, it's also publication for you. Number two, there are poskim who say, just like you have a building that's above 20 amas, so too there's another building across from you above 20 amas. So so the street level has just went up. So it's only if you live on the 1/10th of Sears Towers and all you see is planes, and that's where everyone would be. In the case where there's, so then some poskim say it's Pursuing Nisa to the other building. Bottom line is, as I said, for sure in Chabad, and if somebody asks, the best directive is don't light by the window, light specifically by the doorpost, as the Ramah is going to bring very shortly. However, in somebody who does, we can't say that it's a bracha levatala, especially if they can see the candles. It's Pursuing Nisa still for them. It's no different than lighting on your table.
Yeah. So we're saying, B'chal, that the union of lighting by your doorpost is secondary to lighting by the window, even though the whole idea of being framed by two mitzvahs, the mezuzah on one side and the menorah on the other side.
Are you asking which mitzvah is stronger, having surrounded by the mitzvahs or having publication?
Yes.
Okay, so ideally everyone agrees the main thing is to publicize. That's what Mechaber clearly wrote. If you live upstairs, light by the window. The main thing is the publication. However, we didn't yet reach the Ramah in the next sif. The Ramah in the next sif says that the minhag today has changed for different reasons that we'll discuss, and the minhag today is to light only inside. Based on this, that the minhag is to light inside, so therefore lighting by the doorpost takes precedence, according to the Ramah. The Magen Avraham argues and says, no, even in such a case, you still light by the window. It's a machlekes. What's
how
better?
public is public? So where I live, on the third floor, but it's really 2.5 stories from the ground. I had 2 Mizrahi neighbors, and both of them light in front of their doorways. Okay, now the hall is open, so for them, nobody goes up to our hall except the people that live there and an occasional guest. Right. So is that you cannot see their doors from? There's a public walkway that's in the front of the building. So is that public?
Do they leave their door open when they light and stay next to the candles for some time? Or do they light, close the door, and they let everyone else look?
I don't watch them. So
okay, so if that would be the case, then it's no different than we lighting by our doorpost. Inside. It would be no different. You're still being Yetzer for sure. But in a case where you're lighting it, leaving in there, and then leaving, and there's no one else who's going to see it, as you're describing in your apartment, then it shouldn't be done. For sure, it shouldn't be done. So we just discussed this earlier. We said the Mechaber rules, especially if they're Sephardi, you tell them the Mechaber rules that you light by the window when you live upstairs. Now, if you live 20 amas above, then okay, light in your inside doorpost, or leave your door open so you can see the menorah. You can't have it both ways. The whole heter we said before of those who choose anyways to light by the doorpost of their door leading to outside the hallways, when it's a hallway that people can go up and down and people see what's going on. But if there's no traffic, you live in an empty building, you're the only tenant, What are you doing? So you got to do it in a way that there will be at least publication to somebody.
And that somebody can be yourself. You live alone in a
Correct. That's what we said. Lighting your table and you're good. Yeah, b'diavad, it's good. Okay. Even if somebody wanted to light the candles, he said, I want to do something special. He lit the shul candles all the way up there. Told him, what are you doing? You can't, it's Yetzer the mitzvah. Okay, I didn't know. He brings it down, he puts it on the table. No good, says the Mechaber. It has to be lit in an area that is not 20 amas. So for another example, somebody who lives 20 amas above, and he has a menorah that's with a back that covers over the lights, and he didn't know this, and he lit facing the window to the outside, but there is no Pursuing Nisa because, as I said before, we measure then from the ground, and it's above 20 amas. He can't just go ahead and take the menorah and move it. Okay, I didn't know. Okay, he wants to do tshuva. What does he have to do? It does not suffice to simply take the menorah and turn it around. Now I see it. Now I see you. Now I don't. It doesn't work. You have to extinguish the candles and light them again.
With a bracha?
no bracha because of the suffix. We have other people from other buildings. So because of the bracha, we'll let it out. Or another option, if you don't want to extinguish it, light another menorah without a bracha. Light another menorah without a bracha, so it's done properly. But you cannot just simply turn around that menorah and have it count for the mitzvah.
If you do the extinguishing method, you do not say bracha also then. You don't say bracha if you extinguish.
Even if you extinguish, you're still going to not say bracha.
No,
Correct.
right.
Okay, let's move on now to the next. Sif Zayin. Mitzvah lanicha b'tavach hasamoch lepesach mismo k'desh temezuz imin v'nerchak mismo. Says the Mechaber. We want to do both mitzvahs. You asked before when there's a clash, but ideally there is no clash. You're supposed to light on your open doorpost to the outside, which has a mezuzah on it. So you get the benefit of publicizing the miracle, and you get the benefit of being surrounded by mitzvahs. You place the menorah opposite the mezuzah. So mezuzah is always to the right. So we place, especially if your front door, even according to Chabad custom, we don't follow Hekatzir in such a case. The front door is always the mezuzah to the right. And therefore, the menorah will be to the left of you. When you walk through, you're surrounded by mitzvah. Even according to our custom that we light inside the house, we always try to do it not by the window, as we'll discuss momentarily, but by a doorpost, so we're surrounded by mitzvahs, so we get this benefit of being surrounded by mitzvahs. If you do not have a mezuzah by your doorpost, let's say you decided to check your mezuzahs that day, there is no mezuzah there. The Pesach menicha miyamin, that you're supposed to place it by the right side. But the truth is, in the case where it usually has a mezuzah, was just taken down for checking, some say we consider it as if the mezuzah is still there. So you should do it by the left side. It's as if it's still there. But in the case where there is no mezuzah, for whatever reason, it's a room that's patur from mezuzah, whatever the reason is, there's no mezuzah there, it never has a mezuzah. So in such a case, then you should place the menorah by the right side. So we only do the left side because we want to be surrounded. But when there won't be an issue of being surrounded, then you should put it by the right. Now this sometimes comes up by rooms that are suffix if the chayiv and mezuzah. For example, if I have a room that is less than 196 centimeters, less than 4 meters by one side, either the length or the width, it's less than 4 meters. It is a machlekes if it's chayiv and mezuzah. According to some poskim, it doesn't have to have a mezuzah, so there is no mitzvah on the right side. It's a beautiful piece of parchment. It's expensive. We'll give you all that. It's a beautiful thing, but the mitzvah mezuzah is not being fulfilled. Also, a room that doesn't have a door is not chayiv and mezuzah according to many rishonim. So even though you have a mezuzah there, the mitzvah is under debate if it's being fulfilled. So that's why to fulfill the surrounding of a mezuzah, of being surrounded by a mezuzah and a ner Chanukah, you should specifically choose a doorpost that has a chiyuv mezuzah according to all opinions.
Well, aren't the archways that you go through the house like 7?
Correct, machlekes. Correct, those are machlekes.
It doesn't have a swinging door?
No door, machlekes. That's why we put it up without a bracha. That's why I never light by the doorposts, or those doorposts. I always light by a door.
So if you're putting mezuzahs up, you want to make sure you say your bracha on your front door, and then you can do the other door or the other archways in your house. You don't want to like replace the mezuzah on an archway only and say a bracha is what you're saying.
It's minadin, it's mutter. If you want to do the best of the best, if you want to get the mile of being surrounded according to, fully, then that's where it's supposed to be put.
Just putting up a mezuzah at all, forget about the Chanukah issue for the moment, just you're putting up a mezuzah on an archway in your house that doesn't have a door. All those mezuzahs that people have in their archways where there's a lintel but there's no door.
Correct. So as I said, that's a machlekes if it's chayiv and mezuzah. And in such a case, you would still do opposite the mezuzah because some places can say it is chayiv and mezuzah. You still do it opposite. But I'm just saying the best thing would be to choose a doorpost if you have. If you don't have available, okay, we'll say that. Doesn't invalidate the mitzvah.
Okay, so any place that you have actually a door, not only your front door.
Correct.
Mezuzah, it's okay for your menorah on the left side. You don't have to do your front door.
Correct.
Okay. I asked you about a sliding door going out to a porch that has a mezuzah. Is a sliding door with a big sliding door?
Sliding door is a door. It's a door, but Usually sliding doors go into a porch, and the porch is a whole shayla. If it's chayev, how's it chayev? It depends. But again, all this on Shabbos I light by my porch door. That's the best place, the safest place. So we light there. This is just an initial chumrah. When you want to choose, you want to know where's the best halachic area. So, but if let's say the best halachic area is an area where your family can't sit and see the menorah. So the question is, should you sabotage the publication to your family because you found a better area? I think you shouldn't. I think you should line an area that everyone can sit and see the menorah, because this idea is just an extra hiddur. Especially in this case, you have a mezuzah there. It's just we're saying, not according to all opinions, but you have a mezuzah there. Okay. Continuing. Right, so we said if there is no mezuzah, meaning it's not chayv in a mezuzah, then you just place it by the right side. Explanation of this statement of the Machaber is as follows. In general, what they were referring to by placing the menorah to the left side, it doesn't mean the left side of inside the doorpost. If, for example, that's the door, so you would put it, make believe that's going out, so you would put it to that side over there, meaning.
So this is one option right here. Other options would be actually in the doorpost. Is the door open? No, it's not to the outside, it's in the inside of the house. Okay? But either is fine. There is no halacha that says it must be in the doorpost. Okay? You can do it just as well to the side, as I just showed you. Okay? It can be to the left side.
The blowing problem when you open your door. If you put it on more on the inside, like the first place you mentioned.
You're right, if the door like this, but if it's a door inside your house, I'm lighting by my bedroom door.
Oh.
I don't have wind.
At the front door, you do have that big problem. That's what we usually do.
That's right, but people who light outside, they light in the case. They light in the case. And anyway, so the point is that the Mechaber now says like this, in a sentence, it says, if you're lighting within the actual doorpost itself, not like by the side, as I said before, then you should do it. It should be within the first half of the left side. So we split the door, the area in half, light towards the left. Anywhere within the space is good. Bottom line is that the Taz and other places matter should be within one tefach. So we actually push it. We want it to be within a tefach of the doorpost. So it should be quite close by.
Put it in a case in your house. You could actually put it in your case. If you're worried about the front door opening and wind blowing in, you could put it in a case, right?
Yeah. Also, someone lighting it to the left, it should be within one tefach to the doorpost. Shouldn't be more distance than one tefach to the doorpost. The Alter Rebbe rules in the siddur. This is all the Mechaber. According to the Alter Rebbe in the siddur, initially it is to be placed within the actual doorway between the doorposts.
Well, not totally getting in the way of the door opening and closing.
Again, if it's not possible, it's not possible. You do what you can. But if you're able to, we light it within the actual doorpost, according to the Alter Rebbe in the siddur, just like the mezuzah is there. The Arizal, by the way, was not careful in this. He lit, as I said before, as the original statement by the side. According to Shulchan Aruch, by the side is good. If you want to do in the doorpost, then we said just do it within the first half. According to Alter Rebbe in the siddur, and other achreinim that's Alter Rebbe bases it on, we are particularly lighted within the doorpost.
You're also keeping your door open. You mamish have to keep your door open if you light inside the door, between the two doors, the front door. You have to keep your door open with the wind coming in.
It's okay. Okay. Now comes the Rama. The Rama now says, however, in today's times that everyone lights inside the house, and there's no recognition anymore to the public at all. There is no need to be so careful anymore to light the candles to set up the menorah within one tefach from the doorpost. This is again referring to someone who's not lighting within the doorpost, but he's lighting to the side. And then Rabbi okay, so Ramah here said this was a bombshell. He threw out here a whole bunch of different things. Number one, remember we said earlier from the Talmud and Shulchan Aruch that no one argued on you're supposed to light to the outside? Well, that was back then. Today the custom is we all light inside the house. That's what he says. And this is the Ashkenazi custom. The Ashkenazi custom for generations was for everyone to light inside of their home. And this is likewise the widespread custom today of most of Jewry. Here in Eretz Yisrael, there's been the resurgence of people trying to do like the original Mechaber ruling, but the official Ashkenazi worldwide custom back then and today remains to light inside of your house.
That could be inside in front of a window then, if you don't have a back.
Oh, well, the Mahir says, aside from that, we light inside the house. And therefore, since you're lighting inside the house, it really shouldn't matter so much to light within one tefach of the door, because there's no more a publication to the public. He says, nonetheless, the custom is to still retain this halacha, to be surrounded by mitzvahs. And therefore, the chatchila, according to the Ramah, you should be lighting, as I said before, by the doorpost. That's what I said, according to Alter Rebbe, the best thing is, in the siddur, you set up your menorah inside the doorpost, to the left of the doorpost, right, to the left side, within the tafach of the doorpost, and you light over there. You're surrounded by mitzvahs. You're doing it just like it was back then, just inside your house versus outside your house. Now, the Magen Avraham argues on this, and he says, no, it's better for you to light by the window. So this is why, and the Magen and Mishnah also rules this way. So this is why you have a lot of people who will light by the window. It's based on the opinion of the Mishnah of the Magen Avraham, the Mishnah Berurah. And that's why we have this, difference in custom. But once again, we always have to take into account the 20 Amos issue, as I said before. But assuming there is no 20 Amos issue, or everyone can see the candles from the window, then, some would choose to do by the window, while others would choose as the Ramah rules. The Chabad custom is like the Ramah. We don't light by the window. The Ramah here added in the end that if there's many people in the family, then it's better for everyone to light somewhere else. In other words, if you only have one doorpost, don't put everyone's menorahs there, because then nobody sees how many candles there are. We want to make a recognition. We discussed this last week. And therefore, every man for himself, this one in the kitchen, this one in the dining room, this one in the living room. If there's enough doors to go around for everybody, gesundheit. But if there isn't, then some people will just light on the table, on the counter. You light other places, so there isn't a mix-up. Or different heights. It's also good. If one child is menorah this high, the other child is menorah this high, that also l'chayra is a good recognition.
On the same table.
By the doorpost, I'm saying, on the same surface, yeah. However, nonetheless, one is to be aware, to be careful, not to light in an area that a person lights the candles throughout the entire year, as then there will not be a recognition. This is referring to back then, where people didn't have electricity, so they would anyways light candles for light at night. So if you light Chanukah candles in the same area, nobody will know it's Chanukah candles. So therefore he says it has to be changed from that area. So if somebody says, I have a great idea, I'll light my Chanukah candles inside the bulb. I have an extra bulb, and I'll light it like that. No, nobody will know that it is a Chanukah candle you're lighting. They will just think you turn on the light to read, and therefore it'll be no good. So based on this, we're going to understand as a person that doesn't have candles, can he be yotze by just turning on his night light, his little nightstand, night light on his nightstand? The answer is no, because there is no recognition that this is a regular candle, even though we also hold that the electricity is not yotze in the mitzvah. It says, even though we're saying right now, according to the Ashkenazi custom, the recognition is only for the family members, it's not for the outside. Nevertheless, we still need to retain a little bit of recognition of what night Chanukah it is, etc., and therefore it shouldn't be bundled up in the same place. Continues the Ramal. The Beis HaKnesses, inside of a shul, where you're supposed to light, manichai darim. It's supposed to be because of darim. It's supposed to be placed in the southern wall, right here in the shul. That's the southern wall. This faces south. In 770, where we faced east, it's placed to the right. That's south. Keneres HaMenorah, just like the menorah was placed, right? The menorah was placed towards the menorah was placed by the south. So when you walked in to the Heichel, the menorah was to your right, and the shulchan was to your left. The menorah was in south, it was north.
What happens if you're picked in shul to say the bracha and light, and then you go home and you want to light for your family? You're allowed to say the bracha twice?
I'm coming up. Mesadra Mizrach Lamarav, and it's to be set up going from east to west. So over here we set it up going this way. Notice, don't set it up like this. Set it up horizontal, like this, going from east to west. So in 770 we set it up like this, not like this. It goes from east to west. Just like the menorah. So also in the temple, when you would walk in, you wouldn't see a menorah going horizontal. You would see it, vertical. You see it going horizontal from east to west. No, I'm sorry. We go from east to west this way. This is how it would be. That's from east to west. Okay, and we light the candles in the shul with a bracha. Mishum Persumei Nisa, due to publication of the miracle, when Chachamim made a takana to light Chanukah candles, they established that even in a shul, even though, as we're about to read, nobody fulfills their obligation, nonetheless, you say a bracha upon lighting it for the sake of Persumei Nisa. This is the basis of those who are lenient to say brachas by public menorah lightings. This is the basis, because we're also doing Persumei Nisa. The debate is, does it have to be in a shul? So if you're doing a public menorah lighting in a shul, everybody agrees. If you say, we're doing a public menorah lighting in the shul at this time, and you gather everyone in the community, everyone agrees you can say a bracha. The question is, can you say a bracha when you're doing outside? It's not a shul. So because of that, some Rabbanim say, daven ma'ariv there, turn it into a temporary shul. Make a temporary shul in the area. Okay? Nobody fulfills their obligation with the shul lighting. And everyone has to go back and light at home. And therefore, everyone who does a public lighting, it's imperative they should announce. Nobody fulfills their obligation with this lighting. Please go home and light your own candles. If you don't have any, we're distributing. We'll give you out.
What were you talking about, the lighter and the bracha sale? Who would have thought the people looking would be fulfilling their mitzvahs by looking?
Yehuda, we have to be open-minded to all types of minds. I have heard from many people over the years, even from people. Oh, you can't be yaitse with the public menorah lighting? I didn't know that. So announce it, get the facts straight, announce it, and come with some extras, because some people may need the light, they may not have. So the second sentence of the announcement should be, if you need, here we have, we'll distribute to you.
And the person who actually says the bracha, he's not yotze, he has to go home and say it. He can't.
The person who says the bracha is not yotze, like everyone else is not yotze, and he has to go back home and light again with the brachas. The only exception is the bracha of Shechianu. The bracha of Shechianu is going on the Chag, the festival, and therefore, what difference does it make if you said the bracha of the festival here, you said it there, you're yaitse, and therefore the halacha is the Shechianu cannot be repeated unless you have other people who need to hear it. So, for example, I'm going home, I have my wife and sons there, and daughters there. My sons are doing their own lighting, right? But if I have my daughters there or my wife there, then I could say it with Shechianu.
So what's the head to Bechal to have the person who likes the public menorah say a bracha?
It's based on Persumei Nisa. They say it's the same as a shul.
Okay.
That's the question is, does it have to be inside of an actual shul meant for tefillah, or even a public area where you publicize? Okay, that's the debate. It's a legitimate debate. It's a debate, but it's still a debate.
Outside is even more advertising than a shul.
Right. But the question is, did the Chachamim make a takana for that type of lighting? That's the debate. In shul, the custom is to light between mincha and mariv, meaning at home we light after shkia, after sezek, depending on custom and chabad, we do after shkia. But nobody lights beforehand. In a shul, we light beforehand. We light between mincha and mariv. We light from plaga mincha. But it has to be after plaga mincha. You're not allowed to light in a shul with a blessing before plaga mincha. It's forbidden. This is an example of where people irresponsibly use 770 or the Rebbe as an excuse for their halachic ignorance. somebody publicized, it's mutter to light the candles in a shul before Plag Mincha, as that's what we saw done in 770.
Why did we see that in 770?
So after I did research with Rabbi Groner and with other people of the Gabbai in 770, absolute nonsense. It was specifically always pushed off to be, at times there was necessary to push off Mincha in order so the lighting would be within Plag Mincha time. So this person thinks this is what was done, and he now created a new source in Shulchan Aruch. We think we saw this was done, so now we can tell people you can light. Anyway, so bottom line is that this is incorrect. They were makbid to light after Plag Mincha all the time, and it is forbidden to say a bracha when you light before Plag Mincha because there is no mitzvah to light candles before Plag Mincha. You're not yetzer the mitzvah. In Rachel Lamar le'espalol acha shabich hashlich tzibur v'hidlik acha echad mehem yuchel hashamash l'hadik haneshayim hashlich tzibur yispalol. Okay, whatever. So, okay, I'll expand what this means. Basically saying that if, let's say, Mincha time is coming and you want to light before, because he says, I forgot to read that. On Erev Shabbos, some are accustomed to light before Mincha. What we're accustomed to do is daven an early Mincha and then light the candles. But let's say you're not davening an early Mincha, and so you need a light because it's going to be Shabbos already. So you light before Mincha. So can you light before Mincha and say the bracha, light one candle, and I'm the chazan, and go right away and start Shemoneh Esrei and have someone else take me over to light the rest of them? So in other words, the question really is, can you have two people joining in the lighting? This is a very pertinent question by public menorah lightings. By public menorah lighting, you want to be mechabed different people. The mayor, the assistant mayor, who knows who people to light. So the answer is that minadin, the person who said the bracha, he's to be the person who lights everything. However, in the time of need, it is permitted to delegate the merit of lighting the candles to other people as well. As long as they're all Jews, of course, they can, light the other candles.
Not with the bracha, though.
No, I already said the bracha. I said the bracha.
Somebody else said the bracha. Either Yotzi, your bracha.
I said the bracha for everybody, and I lit the first candle. I'm here, you lit the second. So in a time of need, let's say public menorah lighting, and like that, then, especially if you're doing the trick I said, the whole bracha is being said on the basis of the children, you're educating the children, so it's, you have always that insurance policy you don't have to worry about.
What about the time? You just mentioned something about the timing, though, Erev Shabbos. Are you allowed to light before the time?
No, I said in some communities, the custom is to light before Mincha. Usually we light after Mincha.
But can you light before Mincha?
Mincha din, it's mutter, but the custom is to do between Mincha and Ma'ariv. But Erev Shabbos, if push comes to Shav, then you light before Mincha. What's the Shiloh?
You were right by lighting candles.
Right. That's why it says you're always supposed to daven Mincha before lighting Chanukah candles, l'chatchila, correct. But also we can't forget that the shul lighting is not the same as the lighting in your house. When I lit in my house, I'm fulfilling my mitzvahs, I'm showing it's already night. But the shul lighting, nobody's fulfilling their mitzvahs. So who exactly here is professing it's nighttime? Who here has halachically professed it's nighttime? Nobody's yetzer.
Without mentioning names, was it the very first menorah lighting that wasn't done exactly the right way with regard to this kind of a question? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
I think it was the
Public
first
menorah lighting?
public menorah lighting. I think it was the first time they did it in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, never mind. I'm not going to get more specific.
What was done?
I don't know exactly what it was, but something the Rabbi wasn't happy with.
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay.